guys, so today I'm sharing with you my favorite board games for the month of May. I thought I would do something like this every month just to talk about the board games I've been loving, share some new ones, some old ones that I have, and just introduce you guys into the world of board games and the stuff that we've been enjoying playing lately. So I have 3 board games I want to talk about. I'm going to try and keep them like about 3 to 4 board games a month, depending on obviously what we play and what we're into at the moment. But I'm really excited about it. They're over here, that's why I keep looking over there. And I'm just going to get into talking about these games, why I love them, and why you should check them out. So the first one is called Mr. Jack, and I haven't talked about this before, but we've had it for quite a while. We're actually borrowing it, there's like a glare, we're actually borrowing it from our friends who we go to Ann Arbor and play board games with. They're the ones that introduce us to a lot of these games, or we find out about them online or something. We watch videos before we get them. We do a lot of research to determine what board games we want to play. So Mr. Jack is actually a 2-person board game, which are very hard to come by, and good 2-person board games are also even harder to find. And this one, you are playing against your opponent. One of you is a detective, or is it like the inspector? One of you is an inspector, and the other person is Jack the Ripper. And Jack the Ripper is hiding his identity and trying to escape the city. So throughout the game, you're trying to figure out who the Jack is, because Jack pretends to be someone else. So you're never like, oh, that's obviously Jack. He is pretending to be someone else. So you have to go through the game and try and figure out which person Jack is and then accuse them. So Jack is trying to escape while you're trying to figure out who Jack is, and each of the characters has these special abilities that you use in order to move them around the board to get them either in light or out of the light. Because after every turn, the person who plays Jack determines whether or not there's someone who's witnessing them or someone who isn't. So if you're in the shadows, you're not being witnessed, and if you're in the light, you are. So it's kind of like a game to try and get some people in the light and some people in the darkness, while the other person is playing the same kind of people, trying to either put them all into the light or all into the darkness. And it's kind of a really fun game. It's fairly quick. It says about 30 minutes, and it does take about 30 minutes to play. And it's just a really fun 2-person board game that you never really know what's going to happen, because you're changing your characters. Sometimes you're the detective or inspector, and other times you are Jack, but then the cards that flip up of the characters that you can move constantly change, and they do different movements. So like some can like teleport or switch places with people, other ones draw characters closer to them, and there's just really cool different ways you can try and beat the other person or escape if you're Jack. And it's just an interesting board game. So if you're ever trying to find a game that you and your significant other can play, or you have like a child or something that you want to play with, it's kind of, it says for 9 older, like 9 years old or older, but I think it's a little harder than that. It'll be more fun if you guys can kind of play that cerebral game and try to figure out if this person moves that person, does that mean that's Jack? And it takes a little bit more thought process than just an easy 2-person game. But I really have been enjoying it, and I definitely need to return it because we've had it for way too long, and Lauren wants it back. So this next game is one of those games that you can play with a really big group, upwards to like 9 people. The Resistance is a very, very simple game, yet so fun. It makes you question everyone, and you don't have friends by the end of it. It's one of those games where everyone's the enemy, and you guys are talking about it for weeks after about how that person betrayed you, or they said they weren't bad and they were. So this game, you are all part of the Resistance, and everyone is trying to complete missions together. But a various number, depending on the size of people playing, like say 2 people are spies. So these spies are trying to make the missions fail, and each turn there is a group leader, and they pick either 2 to 3 to 4 people to go on the mission. And then everyone votes as to whether or not those people should go on the mission. So if you think someone who's going on the mission is a spy, you obviously vote no. And then once the mission is passed and it's allowed to continue, either the people on the mission say that it succeeds or it fails. So the spies are trying to get the missions to fail, but they're also trying to keep their identities a secret so they can be on enough missions in order to fail the majority of the missions. Each game has 5 missions and you have to win 3 in order to win the game. And the fun part about this is the fact that you don't know who is bad, but the spies know who each other are. So the spies can work together to help try to overthrow everyone and win the game, while the loyal people are questioning everyone. The person next to you could be loyal. You could think they're a spy and you start accusing them, but then someone thinks you're the spy and you're not. And it's this whole back and forth, very intense arguing game, and you're trying to read people's faces and understand whether or not they're good or bad, and who you think isn't lying to you suddenly is lying to you. And it's just one of those kinds of games that it's so simple. There's barely any thought and mechanics to the game, but the interactions you have with the people playing make this game so much fun. And they also have extra cards in there to give yourselves like special abilities. We haven't played with those yet. We just played the original game because it's so much fun. But this game you can kind of expand upon. If you're getting tired of the basic level, there's more cards and activities you can do to make this game brand new. And I love that about games. The next game I'm going to talk about does just that, and it makes the game very timeless and easy to play. This last game I have talked about time and time again. It was the one I featured in my April favorite, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about how you actually play the game, because I think I described it pretty well in April favorites video. So I'll link to that if you want to go find out a little bit more information about exactly how you play. But I am talking about the game Escape, The Curse of the Temple, and this is one of those games that gets you so pumped. You get so energetic. You're working as a team to escape a temple, and the teammanship in this game, I really like co-op games where you play together. So you're all trying to escape this temple while completing tasks and doing a bunch of different things, which makes it so interesting. And it's you never know what you're going to get because the game is with tiles. So each time you play, it's going to have a different map, and it's just so exciting. And every time we play, we're talking about it for days after, about how exciting it was, and we just get our blood boiling, and it's so exciting. But what I like most about this game, and why we seem to keep wanting to play it, is the fact that you can expand upon the original game in ways that make it more challenging and different. So the initial game kind of has an expansion in it. So when we play with new players, we take out all of the curse cards to make it just your basic explore the temple, get rid of the gems kind of game. And when they're ready, we add what is already in this game. So when you buy the initial game, you have the curses. We add the curses to it. And that requires you to do crazy things and makes it a little bit more difficult. There's also more tiles. So you find that it takes a little bit longer to explore the temple, and it means you have to be a little bit more experienced in order to do it. But if you get tired of that, they have expansions. I think they have 2 or 3, and we have the quest expansion number 2. There's an illusions expansion, and I think there's one more, but I'm not entirely sure. There might just be 2. So we got the quest expansion because illusions seemed interesting, but the only really good perk of the illusions expansion is the fact that you get a 6th player. And it's interesting what the tiles do, and I'm sure we'll get it eventually, but obviously I don't have it, so I can't explain it to you now. But quests provide 5 extra tiles that make you do certain things before you can escape. So if you reveal a quest tile, you have to do whatever the quest is in order to escape the temple. You can't just ignore it. Like sometimes you can ignore some things in the original game because they only eliminate gems, and if you have like 4 gems left, you can still escape the temple. So you can pick and choose what you want to do, but these you have to do. So it makes it a lot more challenging. You have to think about the game a little bit differently. Plus, it has characters, which means you have special abilities that help you complete the quest, but again, you have to play the game differently. You can't all be explorers and gem layer downers, like that's a term. You have to decide if certain abilities mean that they do certain things. One person, you want to be the explorer because they can turn, like 3 of their gems can move them. 3 of their dice can move them, I mean. So each character has a different thing that they can do. which makes them more valuable in certain aspects of the game. So you find yourself strategizing a little bit more, figuring out which type of character is good for what. And these quests are so difficult. We've only played with 2 or 3 quests. You can obviously pick and choose how many quests you want in, but it's more fun if you do it randomly. So you put them all face down and you just pick 2 or 3, or if you're feeling crazy, you can do all 5 at once. And it just makes it so much more interesting. There's so much you can do. And this is just one of the expansions. So imagine having the curses, the quests, and the illusions tiles. It's a completely different game, and that's what I love about Escape, that even when you play the most simplest version of it, it's never the same game. And I find that I do really enjoy games that do that they're different, and I'll probably talk about another game next month that does it better than all of the rest. So definitely wait and see what that game is. It's Alex's favorite game, so I might have him come and talk about it because he's just obsessed with it. But that is it for this video. These 3 games are definitely ones you should check out. I love the fact that there's one for just 2 players, one for a huge group of players, and this one, Escape, is a little bit in between. So there's always something for everyone, and depending on how you like to play the games, if you don't want to think too much about it, then maybe Escape's your best bet. But if you really want to have that interpersonal relationships and try to figure out who's a spy, Resistance is great. And if you're just having a quiet night with your significant other, Mr. Jack is just a really, really fun game just for the 2 of you. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments below if there's any games that we should check out or play that you're interested in, or that you've played before and you really love. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!